Gentlewoman yields back. Chair is pleased to recognize the former chairman of our subcommittee and one of our doctors, Dr. Burgess of Texas, for your 5 minutes to question.
I thank the chair, and let me just start by saying I do want to associate myself with the remarks of our ranking member of the full committee, Ranking Member McMorris-Rodgers. I do feel one of the really severe casualties of this pandemic has been the credibility in our public trust, the public trust in our public health institutions. And we really do need to work to regain that. And when you see it almost daily. I guess on the good news front, Dr. Fauci was on Judy Woodruff last night and pronounced the pandemic over. So congratulations. I somehow missed it in the headlines this morning, but I'm glad that is, at least I hope that is true. And I also want to associate myself with the remarks of the chairwoman of the subcommittee on ARPA-H. It's a critically important authorization that this committee needs to undertake, and I share her concern about it being co-located on the campus of the National Institute of Health. So, Secretary Becerra, you'll remember the last time we spoke was in our budget committee hearing across the way, and I was concerned about funding for gain-of-function research, particularly in adversarial countries. You disagreed with me, and you said, I think that question has been answered before, and you didn't think it would be true. I still remain concerned about it. I remain unconvinced that NIH did not have some role in this funding. So I promised you some articles supporting my position. I've asked that, Madam Chair, that we make those part of the record today, and I will, at the conclusion of this hearing, I will get those to you. But even if we disagree about NIH funding gain-of-function research in an adversarial country, really the point is made over and over again in those documents that this was all done in a BSL-2 lab. The biosafety level of the Wuhan lab was not a biosafety level 3 or 4, as I think it should have been, but it's almost like it's asking for a lab leak if you're dealing with a pathogen such as this in a BSL-2 lab. So I guess the question is, are we at a point now where we will be very careful about where we fund this type of research? It bothers me that it was in an adversarial country, and it really bothers me it was in a BSL-2 lab.
Dr. Burgess, first, let me just say that much of what you said I agree with. We should always be very cognizant of how any gain-of-function research is done. We should be very cognizant of where it's done for all the reasons you mentioned. And I think that what I can do is assure you that at the NIH, at the Department of Health and Human Services, we take those same concerns and admonitions that you've just stated very seriously. But I would agree with you that we have to be very, very careful, because who knows what can surface as a result of some of this research that's done, especially if it's done in a place that's not equipped to really handle it.
Well, I really do hope that you will provide the committee with the official HHS policy directing the NIH in this regard. We had a hearing on mental health, and I appreciate your comments on mental health. A couple of weeks ago, I brought up, are you familiar with what's referred to as the IMD exclusion, the Institute for Mental Disease exclusion that prevents Medicaid from paying for coverage, hospital coverage? So I brought up a concern about that, and I asked the HRSA administrator if that was a barrier to getting care, and she wasn't really. She said there's some challenges there, but I didn't get the impression that really she put that as an obstacle to care. So let me just ask you, do you think the IMD exclusion is a barrier for patients getting the mental health treatment that they need?
Congressman, I think we're seeing the growing need for health care, and Medicaid has become a place that Americans have been able to rely upon to help them pay for their mental health care services. IMD does impose a restriction. I believe it's a statutory restriction that makes it tough for Medicaid to cover mental health services in many cases. We are more than willing to work with you and your colleagues to try to make sure that Americans are able to secure the type of health care, even if it's for mental health, not just regular health, that we need.
Well, I tried to add that as an amendment when we were doing one of the reconciliation bills. It was defeated on a party line vote. I hope I can look to your help when bringing that forward again in legislative language, because I agree with you, it's a legislative fix that is required. And it is expensive, I grant that it is, but it's the old thing about pay me now, pay me later. What is the cost of doing nothing? And I think we found it to be extremely high. Thank you for your testimony today. I'll yield back.
Look forward to working with you on it.